So good morning, everyone. I think that we'd like to get going because we have a very full hour and a half here. I want to start with welcoming each and every one of you to our Moose Hide workshop. It starts with me. My name is Susan Kelly. My Tahltan name is Etsenli. I am from the Tahltan Nation. My parents are Hilda and Jim Mason, and my grandparents are Grace and George Edzurtsa. We and the many of us are here on the traditional territories of the Esquimalt and Songhees Nations, the modern day Esquimalt and Songhees Nations, and been very blessed to be welcomed here by the people. And want to just acknowledge too that everybody is on a territory of an Indigenous nation. And on behalf of the Moose Hide campaign, I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's event and for signing up to be to take part in the workshops. So I have a few things to go over before I turn it over to our amazing group of facilitators. First, all participants are going to be muted except for the facilitators. And we're going to be doing all of our engagement through the chat. So if you have a question, you can send it on the chat in the chat box, and I will make sure that the facilitators see it. And the other way that we're going to be doing it is with the Mentimeter, and I'll let Malisa and Stephanie and them explain how that works. So you can send questions through the chat option. They'll only come to us. We will do our best to respond to the questions. The other thing that I want people to think about too is that this is a place, we are working to make this as safe a place as we can. And starting with ourselves, starts with me, being respectful. And if there are things that happen, if you get triggered, send a message in the chat box, and I'll connect with you. And then the other part is, if there's things that are coming through that are not appropriate, we will remove you from the room. There's not going to be any breakout rooms. It's going to be all here, and it's going to be an amazing day. And joining us today to guide us on this journey together is Malisa Fox, Nicole Gagnon, Shannon Williams, and Stephanie Papik. And I'm going to pass it over to them to introduce themselves, and we'll start with Malisa.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I just want to start off by just gratefully acknowledging that I'm calling in today from the Lekwungen territory, which I've been honored to live, work, play, and grow on. And I just want to acknowledge that my name is Malisa Fox, and I'm grateful to be here today. And my family originates from Curve Lake on my mother's side and British on my father's side. And this work is just really close to my heart. And I'm really grateful to be on this journey with each of you today. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Nicole.
Thanks, Malisa. Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Gagnon. I'm very excited and happy to be with you all this morning. I am Métis on my father's side and of British ancestry on my mother's side. And I have been a guest here on Lekwungen territory for about 15 years. And I'm very grateful to both the Songhees and Esquimalt nations for being stewards of this land. And I hope you all enjoy this session. And I'll pass it on to Shannon.
Thanks, Nicole. Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Williams. I am Métis with Cree ancestry on my mother's side and mixed European descent on my father's side. And I am grateful to have lived, worked, and roller skated on the traditional territory of the Clade for most of my life. And I'm so grateful to be here doing this work with you today. And I want to pass you over to an amazing colleague of ours, Stephanie Papik.
Ublami, good morning. Kubia Huktunga Huseka on the Lekwungen territory. Good morning. I'm very happy and grateful to be calling in from Husekam, Place of Clay, also known as James Bay, here in the Kwangyan territory with deep, deep gratitude. I am Inuk on my dad's side from the Mackenzie Delta of the Northwest Territories, as well as Inupiaq from Alaska. And on my mom's side, I'm Irish ancestry with a bit of Spanish. I guess there was a shipwreck back in the day. And I've been a visitor here to the Kwangyan territory for most of my life, and really grateful and honored to be able to be a part of Moose Hide today and to be able to sit in circle with all of you who are joining us today. So thank you. And one note, this will be a recorded session. So if you want some privacy, you're welcome to turn your camera off. And yeah, we'll get started. So this is the workshop around how do we begin that journey. It starts with me calling in with curiosity and open heart and mind, inviting in those who might feel some resistance on this journey. It's a workshop for everyone, really great workshop for any introverts. We're going to be doing some free flow writing. So at some point you could use your computer for typing or grab a pen and paper. That'll be coming up in the workshop. So yeah, welcome. So with that, I'm going to move us to slide 2. As part of any time I bring folks together, I love to offer agreements for our time together. They're a really nice way to create a calling in culture rather than a calling out culture, and aligns with the neuroscience. So when we give feedback in a way that feels threatening, you know, like Bobby's a racist, it activates the neurons in our amygdala, so it puts us in our fight, freeze, or fawn mode, versus when we give feedback in a strength-based way, it activates the neurons in our prefrontal cortex, so it puts us in our planning, thinking, compassionate brain. And with that power of repetition, over time, it creates new neural pathways, new habits, new ways of being. And you'll see in the image there, we use the medicine wheel has the 4 colors, and that Indigenous worldview is really an inclusive space for all of us, which I really love. We're going to be using circle today. Circle is something that humans have used around the world since time immemorial. It's our earliest form of self-governance. And you see it reflected in places like the Knights of the Round Table, the UN gathering in a circular fashion, or just that simple act of gathering around a fire. So we're gonna just take a moment to, I always jump ahead right into agreements when we're actually doing acknowledgements. So you've heard each of us acknowledge the territories that we're on, and now it's an invitation to, as if you would like to acknowledge the territories that you are calling in from. So you could either open a browser on your computer or grab your phone and just go to menti.com. And also you could use the chat function if this is not working for you. It's pretty fun. And you'll just type in those numbers there at the top there, the code 7210513. And if this is something new for you and you're not sure whose territories you're on, native-land.ca is a really great resource. And I think someone could pop that link into the chat there for folks if this is something new for you. I'm going to offer an agreement of patience with technology while my phone slowly loads the slide. And I'm going to see, we've got some folks starting to acknowledge the territories they're on. There we go. Awesome. So we've got folks calling in from Clay Tene territory, Tsutsina, Lekwungen territory, Teclumps, Tishkwemp, Cranberry Portage, Manitoba. Awesome. Tunaha, Kwantlen Dun First Nations. Amazing. I always love to see where folks are calling in from. Wow, Anishinaabe territory. That's gonna move this a little. Here we go. Kwatsin, Haudenosaunee. Wow, we've got some folks coming in all from across Turtle Island. That's pretty cool. Oopsies. There we go. Patience with technology. Definitely there. Back to here. So we've got London. London, it must be London, Ontario, I'm guessing. Wonderful. So good to see where folks are all coming in, calling in from. Thank you. So I just want to acknowledge, sometimes people will start to be like, when's the learning going to happen? And it begins now. It's happening already. This is often a question we'll get asked, and you might notice our workshop will be a little bit different than what you might be accustomed to. Part of this work is that relational, making time to come together and connect with each other and create a foundation together. So we're going to spend a little bit of time of that, and then we'll get into what some folks might consider as that learning. So folks calling in from Mississauga, Haudenosaunee, Wendat peoples, all over the place. Territory 6, wonderful. Thanks so much. This is wonderful. I'm going to move us on to the next slide, which is our intentions for our time today. Thanks all for participating in that little acknowledgement. Our intention, as Susan said, was that intention to create a safe space for us to step into, to build on the skills and the knowledge and abilities that each of you already have, as well as create time to reflect, share, discuss, inspire, and empower each other on this journey to end violence, so that we can begin to implement it into our lives and end violence. So with that, now we will move to agreements, which are clearly my favorite thing to do. And I'm going to pass them over to Nicole. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, as Stephanie was saying around the neuroscience, when we give feedback, agreements are a really great tool for calling people in rather than calling people out. And in year 9, 10, and 11 of the Indigenous Youth Internship Program, a leadership development provincial program, they had 100% retention of all 25 Indigenous youth, acknowledging that every youth had the tools and language and felt empowered to ask for what they needed to feel supported in completing their program, even despite some of the obstacles that were thrown their way. And so it's not really much about the numbers, but really about giving the tools for people that they need. And so we'd like to offer some agreements for our time together. So you're invited to offer some that you would like to share with us. And one that I often like to use, especially when using Zoom and online meetings, is patience with technology. And I will pass it on maybe to Malisa to see if she has one that she'd like to offer.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I really appreciate it. I think, one that I've been really resonating with lately, just being in the times that we're in with COVID and some of the experiences, is just to really listen with, curiosity and compassion, just that opportunity to, be kind in how we approach and do this work. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Yeah, and I'll just check in with Stephanie or Shannon. Would you like to offer any agreements?
Sure, take what you need, offer what you can, putting any hierarchy that exists on its side and recognizing shared leadership. So, if you're joining us and you're 15 years old, your leadership is valued and equals to any of ours. And so I really invite in that shared leadership, especially throughout this time together, to share your wisdom, knowledge, and experience with us. So thank you.
And I just want to share the agreement to remember to breathe and take it in and be gentle with yourself. A lot of the reflection that we do in this workshop can be really personal. And so just be gentle and have a kind eye on the inner you.
Thank you, Stephanie and Shannon. Those are great additions. And we've got really good additions as well from folks participating. Thank you. So I'm seeing a couple to be present and to listen, open hearts and ears, looking inward with compassion, allowing ourselves to feel, acknowledge the range of emotion, no judgment, just compassion. Thank you. Yeah, these are all great. Be present, open, and kind. Yeah, very great agreements. I see a lot of familiar and similar agreements. So it really does feel like our space today is very similar, and we all would like the same things for our time together. So thank you everyone for being a part of this and offering agreements. And with that, we'd like to do a little grounding exercise to help embody these agreements. And so I'd like to invite anyone who'd like to participate with me. We're just going to do a few deep belly breaths and some grounding to really get us in the right setting for our activity. So I invite you to either sit tall in your seat, or if you've been sitting for a while, maybe you feel like you'd like to stand. But either way, just start to acknowledge and feel the space you're in. And if it feels comfortable to you to either close your eyes or maybe a soft gaze forward, and to roll our shoulders back, create space between our shoulders and our ears. And imagine a thread or a string pulling from the top of your head, and that will help elongate your spine. Some folks like to put their palms down for more of a grounding, slowing down. And then for folks that would like energy and to feel more revitalized, palms up. And we're just going to start to notice our breath. With no judgment, just noticing. Then we're going to do some deep belly breathing. And so we're going to breathe really deep and full. And then we're going to pause at the top and then let all the air out. So big breath in. Pause. And all the air out. And we'll do one more. Pause. And breathe out. And I invite you to do two more at your own pace that feels comfortable for you. And we'll slowly bring you back. If your eyes were closed, open them up. And just keeping those agreements in mind as we go through the rest of the workshop. Okay, so our next activity is we're going to do a check-in. This is also part of circle practice. In moments where we can gather together in person, we have a lot of nonverbal communication around how we're doing. We can tell from body language if someone might be tired, or perhaps someone's got a lot of energy. And so a check-in is a really great way for us facilitators to meet you where you're at. And so we'd like to offer an invitation for you to share your name, your ancestry if you know it, and one word for how you're feeling today, or perhaps an intention for our time together. So we're going to use Menti again. And I think I might do a little check-in with my facilitators, my friends. Shannon, Stephanie, or Malisa, I'm offering a little check-in for you if you'd like.
I can offer a little check-in. Today, I am feeling grounded and grateful.
Thanks, Shannon.
And I just want to remind folks that we can answer questions in the chat, but only the presenters can speak in this meeting today.
Yeah, and maybe I can jump in after Shannon and just how I'm doing really well today. I'm just grateful, that we get to be in this virtual space together. And I think it definitely looks a lot different being in this virtual world, but I am so grateful for this opportunity to see everyone's, experiences through Mentimeter, as well as all of the chats that you send. But yeah, just grateful to be here. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thanks, Malisa.
And Stephanie checking in. I'm doing really well today. Super grateful to see Inuit reflected throughout Moose Tide Day, and that silver lining to the pandemic of being able to do things like across Turtle Island and be so inclusive to all Indigenous folks in this journey. So feeling super grateful.
Thanks, Stephanie. And it looks like we've got a lot of really wonderful engagement on Menti for our check-in. Thanks, everyone. I'm seeing people feeling humbled and comforted. I'm seeing folks feeling peaceful. Grateful to be here. Yes, myself as well. Inspired. Wonderful. I'm seeing lots of hopefuls and feeling open to learning and grateful to be here. Lots of different mixed ancestry too, really welcoming everyone from all different ancestries and cultures to be in this space today. Thank you.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see the diversity that makes up our country, and with that kind of broad look around why do we do this? Why should we bother with this? Why do this work? It takes that little bit extra time, and I know this can be particularly a hard time for folks, and it's easy. I've been hearing lots of people feeling that sense of overwhelm, and I like to share this work of cultural safety and humility, and that journey of opening our hearts and our minds has that quadruple word score effect of having the benefits of it, not only being that physical, social, emotional, spiritual, or physiological ways that it can really do by doing this work of starting to learn more about ourselves, and then that journey, it helps us in so many ways. And colonization is something that has not just impacted Indigenous people, it's impacted all of us, and we can see that in the reflection of globalization. We've got climate change, globalization of addiction, pandemic. There's all these pieces, so it's really impacted all of us in many different ways. And there's all these different movements around this time now where we're giving voice to the things that have been hidden before and in the shadows, and bringing them out into the light. So, and there's so many pieces that can drive this in our work, and in ways that we can approach this depending on what our own personal interests are and ways that inspire us. And one of them I have there is Be the Hummingbird. There's a wonderful story, and I don't know if we can put it in the chat for everyone. It's a wonderful story about a forest fire and a hummingbird, and what that little hummingbird could do to help with that big forest fire. So it's always it reminds me of that. Be a hummingbird. All right. And I'm going to pass it over to Malisa to just talk a little bit about this journey of self-discovery and what that means.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Stephanie. So So often in this workshop, people are like, when are we going to get to the learning, or, that anxiety? But I think that we're going to start kind of explaining, some of the exciting new steps about moving into the space of, self-discovery, as well as free flow writing. So, in terms of the journey of self-discovery, it's really, understanding one's thoughts, feelings, values, and background, and how they impact the success of the interaction, our relationship, how that may influence one's work, recognizing one's own biases by tracing them to their origin through reflection, and by noticing one's own behavior, and then intentionally seeking a way forward that positively impacts the interaction and relationship. It really means maintaining new ways of thinking, acting, and especially when, we're in situations become difficult or uncertain or in times of urgency. And I think that's so important. I was hearing today Paul Lessert speak about, the actions that each one of us must take. And, I think for me, it's all about like learning our blind spots, maybe where our biases are. And like for me, I've worked with youth a lot. So just really, no matter what I have, kind of that blind spot that exists, or that bias that may exist too. And, really finding tools and opportunities to ask for help. I think that's part of really recognizing that self-discovery and where there may be those blind spots and biases. And, approaching this work, I think, is so important without blame or shame, but more going back to our agreements, that opportunity for curiosity, humility, and humor. And we'll be sharing some links to everyone, but I encourage anyone that has the opportunity to check out the Indigenous Relations, Behavioral Competency, Self-Awareness, and Discovery. There's some really good, do's and don'ts, the opportunity for us to do this work in a different way. And even as an Indigenous woman, I think recognizing different ways that I can look at things or learn is so important. And also on the same kind of link, we have, some of the trust-based relationship do's and don'ts, just that opportunity for us to really do that self-reflection, which you'll see us walking through in the work that we do. And so now to the exciting stuff, we're going to go through a free flow writing exercise. For some of you, you may feel comfortable with this and you've done this before. For some of you, this will be new, but really we've heard from a lot of people doing this workshop is that opportunity for introverts, really for you to do that own reflection and learning. And, a few things I think are important to note, really the relevance of free flow to self-discovery and wellness awareness, that is great for introverts, writers, and really any human being, I believe, For those of you, as Stephanie mentioned at the beginning, you'll need a paper and pen, or, you could do it on your keyboard. I sometimes have done this on my OneNote for those of you in government, or sometimes it's nice to turn things off and get your pen and paper out. We'll be doing the writing for 3 minutes, and then we're going to be debriefing through Mentimeter afterwards. And I think, I'm really curious for those of you as we do this to see if you haven't done it before, if it's something you enjoy, and kind of that opportunity to use this tool and make time to reflect and gain different perspectives and be really aware of our emotions without being in our emotions, and just really, I want to recognize as we do this work, all emotions are real and valid, and they are really a signal of unmet needs, and that free flow is one way for us to allow space for these unmet needs to be identified and understood, and really brings us back to that, definition of self-discovery and awareness, and understanding one's thoughts, feelings, values, backgrounds, how they impact the success of interactions and relationships, and how they may influence one's work. It's about recognizing one's own biases by tracing them to their origins through reflection and really noticing one's own behavior. And then intentionally seeking ways forward that are positive and really impact interactions and relationships. From time to time, there may be periods of silence. This is part of the process. We're really shifting our relationships and building comfort with silence. So from time to time, it might feel short, depending, and speaking to why, I really think it's important about us kind of exploring that discomfort and taking time to reflect and creating a pathway forward. And slowing down, I think in the crazy times we're in, it's so important to slow down. And as we do this, we will be sharing in the chat box just a little note that we will be doing kind of the timing on things and some of the questions that we'll be sharing. And it'll take about an hour, and we'll take a 15-minute break before we transition to the third part of our time together. And so integrating the competency into our field of practice in volunteerism. So with that, we're going to move into our first kind of question for free flow, and I'm going to pass it over to Shannon.
Thanks, Malisa. So this is where we're going to grab our paper and our pen, and we're going to put our pen down, and you can either write the prompt or you can just start with a list of things that make me happy. I'm starting my timer right now for 3 minutes, and let's go with a list of things that make me happy. All right, welcome back, everybody. You can keep writing, but we are going to move to the Mentimeter now for a little bit of a check-in and a reflection on the experience of writing a list of things that make you happy. So this is an invitation to reflect on how the experience was. What did you notice? What did you feel, hear, see, smell? Were there any things that came up, any ahas? I know when I do this exercise, I often write about surprising little things in my life every time. Just little things that bring joy that I never really recognized. So it kind of opens my eyes the more times I do this one. So we'll just see if there's any responses from folks. Calming, yes. How many things brought me joy? Surprised that? Yeah, same. Things are simple. Yes. Good exercise, difficult. I want to really honor, anyone who is feeling some difficulty or hesitance with that experience. I know that writing these lists is sometimes there's a lot of things that come up, and maybe we feel like, there's not a lot of things that make me happy, but It really, the more you do it, the more things will come up for you. The things that make you happy also cultivate your gratitude. And that is truly like the meaning of being happy, I think, is recognizing the things to be grateful for. Um, Happiness is always there. You just have to pause and think, feel present, quiet, and calm, enjoy the silence. It's interesting the order of things. Yeah, we often put things that come to top of mind that we're surprised by. I know I always write roller skates because that's me. My future self, the person I hope to grow into, I want to really honor that and lift you up. That's another reason we do this workshop, is to take that time to really reflect on self in a good way, and to humble ourselves and honor those aspirations. Ooh, you can tell that I had a timer going. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. So we're going to move on, and before we do our next exercise, we're going to share a passage from Embers by Richard Wagamese, who was an amazing Ojibwe author who lived here in British Columbia and Tecumseh's territory. So this is from Embers, one Ojibwe's Meditations. I am learning that happiness is an emotion that's a result of circumstances. Joy, though, is a spiritual engagement with world based on gratitude. It's not the big things that make me grateful and bring me joy. It's more the glory of the small. A touch, a smile, a kind word spoken or received. That first morning hug, the sound of friends talking in our home, the quiet that surrounds prayer, the smell of sacred medicine burning, sunlight on my face, the sounds of birds and walking mindfully, each footfall planted humbly on the earth. And I'm just going to send you forward with that, and we're going to move into our next exercise.
Thank you all so much for participating in the Mentimeter and sharing your reflections. It's so wonderful to see. So this one is going to be two parts. We're going to do a part one, people in my life believe I should be, and we will have a couple minutes of silence and doing some writing. Then we'll do a second part, and then we'll do a Mentimeter debrief together. So I'm going to set my timer, and now it's in pen to paper, fingers to the keyboard. Invitation to the prompt is, people in my life believe I should be. Right, welcome back, everyone. So that was the first part. I'm curious to see how that lands. We'll unpack that in a moment. So we're kind of doing a little bit of a dip down. You might be feeling that. And we're going to come back up through this chest. We could. Part 2 is I truly am. I truly am. So I'm going to put on the timer again and we'll do some more writing. All right, welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for participating in our free flow writing journey together. I'm going to move us to a Mentimeter, and I'm curious how this experience was for you. Reflecting on the first part, which was about people in my life believe I should be, and then the second part of I truly am. And I'm just curious about how that experience was. What do you notice? What you wrote? What kind of feelings came up? Any of those kind of reflections from this experience that you would be willing to share? Oops. There you go. Let's see. My first surface thoughts were, I always feel the need to be perfect. Here, yeah. Don't make mistakes, do the wrong thing. Yeah, and that's part of this work and it's part of being a human is we make mistakes. That's how we learn and grow. And when we approach those mistakes with compassion and kindness and curiosity, then that gives us that space to grow. Part 1 was upsetting. Yes, these things I think people want me to reflect on my self-worth. Yeah, and I think part of that, often I get that hearing this part 1, people find it quite difficult, and it's interesting that word should, and the words we use have such a big impact on ourselves and each other, where we're and as something I've learned is that folks don't like to be should on, and so an alternative I like to offer instead of shoulding is could. They'll say, oh, I should have done that better. You could, oh, well, you could do it better, next time, based on that learning from experience. A little bit overwhelming emotions, yes, yep. Offer some deep breaths, and those emotions are, they're a signal to spend some time and be curious with ourselves about what we need and then what we could do to take action. I need to tell people in my life that I love them more often. That's so beautiful. Highly conflicting versions of myself. Yes, I bet you're not alone. I often feel that there's like different parts of me want to do things. I spend a lot of time thinking about whether my life actually have these expectations. Aha, or if it's me projecting. Very, very wise. Strong words like strong, reliable, capable. I'm all of those things, and I also need support and reassurance. So true. You know, we can't do this alone. We need to be doing this together. Humans, that's kind of just how we roll. Wow, I love all of this sharing that each of you are doing, and I wish that we had time to go through all of them. I think we will be able to share afterwards some way to share out this little report from folks, because it's really nice to be able to see all of the amazing sharing that everyone's doing. So thank you all so much. And I'm going to offer that agreement with patience with technology. There we go. Another reading from Richard Wagamese. I'm going to be the old woman. I've got some gray hair.
And I'll start us off. Why am I alive?
Because everything is.
No, I mean the purpose.
That is the purpose, to learn about your relatives.
My family?
Yes, the moon, stars, rocks, trees, mammals, your whale family, your whole family. Learn about their relationship, how you're moving together through time and space. That's why you're alive.
Okay, so this is our next writing exercise. The prompt is, here are some things I want to create. And the word create can mean so many different things to different people. I'll set a timer and I will bring you back when it's done. All right, begin. Okay, and we'll just bring you back. I'm going to read this. Oh, that's okay. I was going to read the quote, but that's okay. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. This really beautiful quote by Maya Angelou. You can't use creativity up. The more you create, the more you use, the more you have. And so, yeah, I'm really curious, reflecting on the things that you want to create. What did you notice, see, hear, or feel? Openness, comfort, warmth, acceptance, learning, fun. Those are wonderful things. I want to create a better world. I miss people. Yeah, I feel you on that one. I miss people too. I want to create a community where we recognize each other. Another one about community and people. Intention to honor myself. Yeah, I would like to explore that one too. I'm already more creative than I realize. Yes. Yeah, I think a lot of people might feel that way. We don't know we're creative until we try. Yeah. Excitement for the future. The world today needs a lot of healing. We hear of so much disaster on all the medias all the time. Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard time we're in right now. Feeling inadequate, feeling like I need to work harder to make what I want around me happen instead of just waiting for it to come. That resonates with me, and that we're in a bit of a slower world and time right now, and the feeling to do something is strong. I wish I could stay and read all of your wonderful responses, but we're just keeping mindful of time. But thank you everyone for sharing your reflections.
Thank you, Nicole. So this is a really tough prompt, everyone. So I just want to invite us all to briefly either close our eyes or soften our gaze and just take a nice big in breath. And just ground ourselves back in our bodies. So this prompt is part 1 of 2. And this one is, here are some of the stories I am telling myself as to why I can't create these things. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes. All right, I want to invite everyone back in, and I want us to again take a nice deep breath as we put down our pens for a second. And just breathe out all those emotions and honor those emotions and honor where you're at right now. Part 2 of this, and then we're going to move into a debrief. And this is the triumphant part, the part where we get to honor the strength inside ourselves. The stories are lying because. A couple of minutes on the timer here and start with the prompt. Those stories are lying because. All right, everyone, bringing it back in. We're going to move to the mentee for an invitation to reflect on that. How was that for everyone? What did you notice, see, hear, and feel? And I just want to reminder again, this is a tough exercise, and I want to honor all of you for coming on this journey with us. I know that we all want to do good things, and so I really respect and honor all of you for being here. The stories are lying and true. Both are okay. And that's, yeah, absolutely. It is okay. Wherever you are at today is okay. Sometimes I lose my motivation. Yeah, we all, I think right now are experiencing that slowing down sometimes. And sometimes it's good to take that pause. Realize I'm done with those old stories and in a new creative journey. And that's wonderful. We're all stepping out on these journeys together or taking a rest. You can't do one without the other. And so it's all a cycle. The big aha was the negative stories come out of fear. Writing them, I was just resisting them, wanting to jump ahead of the counter narratives to solutions. I love that. That's a place that it takes a lot of strength and a lot of experience to get to. And it's something that I think we can all strive for, is that inner strength to just go beyond those negative voices. It's amazing that one voice in 8 billion can make a positive swell of change. I absolutely believe in that. And I absolutely believe that's what the Moose Hide campaign is all about, especially today, thinking about how one conversation can really change a person and how we can move each other forward together. You can inspire change. I love that. One person can inspire change. Oh, there's a comment that says, the first part made me sad and feel like I'm a loser, but then I'm not a loser. And then I have the support of my friends and family. And I want to say, like, you're not a loser. And we've all felt like that. And I want to just give you a big hug, because yeah, you're amazing just the way that you are. So I'm just really grateful for all of these responses. I wish we could read them all, but we're going to move on to our next little bit here.
Thanks, Shannon. Yeah, this will be our second to last writing exercise. So we're almost at the end. This one's my favorite though, and I hope you enjoy it as well. So your writing prompt is, my perfect day would go like this. And we'll give you a few minutes and go ahead. Your perfect day would go like this. Okay, welcoming you back after writing about your perfect day. And inviting you to share your reflections on that writing exercise. What did you notice, feel, hear? My perfect day would go like this. I would wake up in a cozy little cabin with my husband, daughter, and my parents, and we would have a big breakfast and the sun would be shining. Would be open up the doors to a beautiful beach and have the entire, I think it cut you off, but you know what? That sounds really lovely. And I would love to join you on your perfect day. I respected the natural needs of my body and spirit. And that was probably exactly what you needed. I'm the only one keeping me from having a perfect day. Yeah, that's a really interesting reflection. What do we have control over and what do we not have control over? Thank you for sharing that. Everything I wrote, it went by, that's okay. That was an awesome experience and interesting to see what the day looked like. Awesome. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. It's my favorite one. Yeah, it looks like everyone's sharing what they wrote about too. Lots of family, cooking, being outside. Ah, beautiful. Thank you everyone for sharing. My thoughts went to family. Yeah. All right, we're gonna move forward. And so I'm gonna read another quote from Richard Wagamese on Embers, and it's another perspective on how free flow writing can contribute to self-discovery and awareness. Write spontaneously every day for 15 minutes. First, get settled, breathe, big, deep, full breaths taken slowly. Clear your minds of words. Be wordless. Then open your eyes and write whatever comes out of you, and keep writing without taking your hands from the paper or the keyboard for 15 minutes. Don't worry about punctuation or spelling, just write every day. 15 minutes, regardless. Watch what happens to your level of craft when you work on a project. Why? Because stories live in our bodies, and we need to feel our fingers moving in the process of creation every day. Your hands are interpretive tools. They bring your spirit out in words and language.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nicole. So I just want to say my deep appreciation for everyone for going through those different questions. We're coming up on our last one, and I truly believe it all builds up all the questions into, that opportunity of that journey of self-awareness and discovery, and, reflecting on that principle that it starts with me. And so I just wanted to, just honor like a few pieces on that principle, and then we'll kind of go into the questions. So in terms of reflecting on that journey of self-awareness, really just understanding what those intergenerational impacts of colonization are. I know for me, I've done this writing exercise quite a few times, and it's made me truly understand maybe where some narrative to who I am and how I show up is really intertwined from my experiences, from the things that I enjoy, from, that inner monologue that maybe I have, and really taking that time as an individual to maybe acknowledge, some of the narratives that are built from my own experience and my ancestors' experiences, and taking the next steps after learning our shared history of residential schools, 60 Scoop, Indian Hospital, reflecting on that personal journey of how that is reflected in our day-to-day practices, where's our strengths, maybe where's our challenges, where are the things that get us excited, really acknowledging without blame or shame, how we can unpack our own behaviors that maybe sustain that ongoing oppression, asking for help and identifying our own biases and systemic biases in decision making. I always like the opportunity sometimes to just, put the elephant in the room of where my biases may be. Like I said, having youth, as well as being in urban First Nations for most of my life. Also, being raised by a strong mother, things like that, those little biases and decisions that are always in my mind as I move forward in my life. And, learning about the ongoing social conditioning from media. I think it took me until 21 to realize that my all-time favorite movie of time, Pocahontas, maybe had a little bit of social conditioning, or maybe some points that weren't the most healthy. And so, if anyone's really curious about unpacking, maybe some of the films or media, I encourage everyone to check out the film. It's called Real Ingun, INGUN, and Misrepresentation. And just really that opportunity to unpack the benefits we continue to gain the experience from colonization, and as well privilege. We've done this exercise quite a few times, and I think that sometimes we really witness this in some of the answers that we have. And how could this be part of our learning and unlearning by reflecting our daily practice? And I think taking this time, and I'm just so grateful that everyone took this time today to really look at this reflection on their daily practice, and how could this be reflected in self-management and self-regulation practices? I think that, for me, it's about building up strengths and in how I go about my work and what I need to build safety based off of my own experiences when I'm really looking at, that self-discovery and awareness of who I am and, what I really offer as well to the work that I do and to the people in my life, and I think that's a big thing that I really see as a beautiful highlight in Mooside, is that opportunity within our spheres of influence, to encourage, facilitate, and make spaces for inclusion of Indigenous people, knowledge, and practices. What a beautiful opening we had today, and just really the protocols and the way that we do this work as Indigenous people, really how do we build people up to be successful in their jobs, and kind of doing those little things. Like, I just want to go back to Nicole sharing grounding exercise. I've started having this more and more in my life, and opportunity for meditation, and really taking opportunities to empower the people around us and our power ourselves by really acknowledging those things that make us the strong, incredible individuals that we are, and reflecting on that, how all those good things that we bring into this work that we do. And so with that, we're going to kind of do a quick question, which kind of all led, around that self-awareness and self-discovery, which is, a bit tougher than some of the other ones. Actually, maybe that's a lie. I feel like they're all pretty tough in their own ways, and also really great in terms of looking at pieces of who we are and how we show up. So our reflection question is going to actually be 2 minutes, and it's going to be based on the truth of our shared history of how we all came to be here. What are some active steps I could take within my circles of influence to inspire and empower? And we're going to put the question in the chat box, and I'm just setting my alarm now, and I'm going to turn off my camera and give you guys a few minutes. So I'm going to bring everyone back. That's my timer going off. It's crazy how quickly time can go by with these questions. And thank you. By no means are you probably going to be able to completely answer everything, but I just appreciate everyone kind of walking on this journey of answering these questions. And I'm going to invite everyone to come back onto Mentimeter. And we're gonna, I'd love to know if people could share, what emerged, what feelings came up during the exercise, maybe if there was things that you noticed, you saw, you heard, you felt. Yeah, I'm gonna welcome anyone to kind of start sharing their experience, and one of my colleagues is going to help me bring it up. And I just also want to acknowledge, as we were doing that, I wanted to thank Stephanie, who put the moose hide in. I just think that for me it's so grounding and I think so relevant to today. Wow, it looks like we have a couple answers already. So thank you, everyone. So share the lessons and growths of my own hardships and always be kind. Absolutely. I think that's such a great, gentle reminder to be kind with ourselves, to inspire and empower every day with my job. Yes, definitely. Thank you. Raise awareness, show conviction and passion, felt strong. Thank you. Felt inspired, letting go of fears and messing up or not being perfect, being honest with myself. Absolutely. And I think those experiences and feelings are so valid, and definitely have experienced them myself, and leave space for others and try to make them feel included in their diversity and respect my own limitation. Absolutely. I always think there's such a beauty in diversity, and just really respecting the gifts and limitations we each bring, be authentic every moment of your life. Definitely say sweet words, honor each other and our history, share and be gentle with each other. Absolutely. Speak up and have hard conversations with myself and others, especially when it doesn't feel comfortable. Definitely. I feel like I always think about my ancestors and, making them proud in the actions and the things that we do. It's okay to be vulnerable. Definitely. I learned that I need to lead, present, and be part of leading by example. Before you can inspire and empower, you must be those things first. I completely agree. And just that opportunity, that self-awareness and self-discovery. And also I think about the analogy of a glass of water and just really making sure that your water glass is full, and taking care of yourself. How much deeper this could be done in person. The share is fleeting in time, but long lasting in heart. Absolutely. Oh, I could do this all day. And I just want to acknowledge and thank you each for your perspectives and responses. I can't wait to maybe take some more time and read through them. And with that, we're just going to move to our next slide because I know how quickly time is going, and I just appreciate each of your perspectives in this work. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Stephanie.
Thank you so much. So yes, bringing this into our lives, tools, I'd like to share something. There's so many resources available these days. The First Nations Health Authority has an amazing document on cultural safety and humility, key drivers and ideas for change. They encourage self-reflective exercises like these, reading reports like the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to find out what actions you could take, things like practicing doing a territorial acknowledgement and then reflecting on that, how that experience was, what you could do to support yourself, and that learning and growth in that journey, as well as learning more about the nations whose territories you're on as well, are a few ideas. And then another, there's so many resources. Another one is this Indigenous Allyship Toolkit created by the Hamilton Niagara Halaman Brant Indigenous Health Network. And there again, there's those pieces around self-awareness and reflection. So, you can see this is a key thread throughout many documents, and I'm looking at some of those principles and wide practices for building relationships. Again, that journey of learning about what our biases and our blind spots are, and learning how to recognize and address discrimination. And I saw someone had made a comment feeling shame about the times they've been quiet. And, I felt that way too at times where maybe I didn't feel safe. And then I spent time reflecting on what could I do next time? How could I approach that differently? That kind of thing. And so be really compassionate with yourself on that journey. We're going to make mistakes along the way. We're going to humbly fumble along this path of reconciliation. So, you know, when you do speak up, take that deep breath, be compassionate with yourself and others, and come from a place of curiosity. So just a few resources, and we did create a resource sheet that a PDF for more resources for folks if they would like. And with that, I love Mentimeters. And what's one step you could take in the coming days, weeks, and months to inspire and empower others? And this might feel like a little bit of repetition, and that's okay. There's that power of repetition of that one thing that we could do to take what action, like what key action could we take in the coming days, weeks, months, to inspire and empower ourselves and others. Moose hide, yay. Oh yeah, and we're doing a word cloud this time. And I think you can put in 2 options. So if there's like one that you see and you're like, yes, you know, you could add that one in a second time, and just to show that. Oh, I love how this word cloud just is love. Yes, love is at the center. Speaking up, so important. Listening. Yes, I hear elders say we've got 2 ears, 1 mouth. So it's that invitation to listen twice as much. Love still staying at the center. And moose hide, sharing. Yes, sharing is caring, sharing that elder knowledge. Deep breath, collaboration, compassion, generosity, trust, being gentle. Oh my gosh. I just love the wisdom in the room and how this is showing up here. Self-compassion, positive affirmations, advocacy, feeling. Yes, feeling is healing. So important. Gathering. Yes. Singing. Yes. I imagine roller skating might be in there somewhere. This is so well. Oh my gosh, I love this. So I think we're gonna thank you all for this, loving, listening, sharing, speaking up. Yeah, I love this. Respect, wonderful. This is so wonderful. Well, thank you for participating in this Mentimeter. We're gonna move to the next slide, and I'm gonna pass it over to Shannon.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. And I just want to take a second to raise my hands to you for this workshop and to my other co-facilitators. This has been an amazing workshop, and I'm so glad that all of you participants were here with us to do it. We're going to do a quick brushing exercise that we learned from an elder at our recent partnerships tables here at Emergency Management BC. So I'm going to invite everyone, you can either stand or sit, and we're going to bring our right hand to our heart, and we're going to extend our left hand out. There, the background, you can see me. And we're going to gather any stale emotions, any negative emotions that we might have left over. And we're going to gather them all up, and we're going to brush them down our arm and out into the universe. And we're going to do that again. We're going to put out our right hand, start with our left hand on our heart, move over to that right side, and just brush all those negative, stale emotions out and up. And I want you to bring in some good emotions and just give yourself a big hug. Thank you so much for doing this with us today. Just a reminder that self-care is the basis for community care, and please do find a way to, care for yourself further. And so we're just going to move to a checkout. It's an invitation to share something you're leaving behind, something you're taking away. I'm leaving behind feelings of hopelessness. I really feel that every time I do this workshop. It reminds me how inherently good we are and how we're all on a journey together. And something I'm taking away is that gratitude and that hope and looking forward. And I'll pass it over to the Mentimeter to see if there's anything, but if any of my other co-facilitators wants to offer something they're leaving behind, something they're taking away, leaving behind a negative voice, taking away kindness, leaving behind hopelessness, yes. And thank you all for being here. And we're just going to leave this up, but we only have a couple of minutes left. And so, oh, I just want to honor a couple of these. Leaving behind fear, taking away a full heart. That's beautiful. Leaving behind shame and inability to speak up, taking away the ability to focus on what's right. Beautiful. Thank you. That is the goal of this workshop. Gratitude for this journey and encouragement to be positive, grateful, and hopeful. Leaving behind doubt, moving forward with hope. This is wonderful. And thank you again, Masi. I raise my hands to all of you. And I'm going to pass it over to our colleague, the wonderful Susan Kelly, to finish us off today.
Thanks so much, Shannon. I wanted to, I want to also raise my hands to you guys, to the facilitators. You guys are amazing. You've done an amazing job. This is my first time going and being through one of these workshops, and I've done the roller coaster. I've gone up, I've gone down, and I feel energized and grateful to have been a part of this day with the four of you and with everyone else who's been here. Want to do a real big thank you out to everyone who's able to join us today. Moosehide Campaign is also inviting everyone to visit and share about their experience of the gathering, the day of fasting, via shareback sessions with the partner, the firm called Reciprocal Consulting. And I need to go and look over this way, sorry, because they sent me new information. There is a shareback session between 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. and you can sign up for it at the homepage of the event website. And the sign up link is directly below the event map. And the first 150 people who sign up will receive a free Moosehide Campaign mask. But before you go there, we do have an overall, like as part of the overall evaluation process for the gathering, we are trying to collect some evaluation feedback from workshop participants. Can you answer 2 questions, not via Mentimeter this time, but in the chat? The first one is what is the biggest takeaway for you from this workshop? And then who will you be sharing your learnings with? And if you can send them via chat, we would really, truly appreciate it. And I think our tech is going to put the 2 questions up on the screen, I think.
Oh yeah. And then will they put that in the chat to you, Susan?
Yeah, they'll do it in the chat if they do the chat to me or to. And really appreciate that everyone has taken the time and stayed right through to the end. It's great. We've had a lot of participants, and I hope that everyone had the same kind of experience as I did. The really thinking through, connecting with my heart, connecting with my feelings, and coming out of it feeling better and stronger and more inspired to do things. And I think that's it for us. Once you've sent your things, what was the biggest takeaway and who are you going to be sharing it with? Then you're welcome to go on back to the Moosehide, the events on the main website. And just a reminder too that there will be the fast breaking ceremony and a calling of witnesses at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time on the live stream, and it's accessible through the event page or through the Facebook Live. And thank you, everyone.